Shalom. Kol halalim la Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, elder bishops of Great Millstone. Shalom to the prophets of that body, and shalom to the 144,001 third. Okay, may peace and blessings be upon you and your households. Okay. Brakti Yahweh, Brakti Hashai, Brakti Yahweh, Brakti Hashai, Brakti Yahweh, Brakti Hashai, Kol halalim la Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Kodash. All right. And I'm sure a lot of yous, the hopeful elect are pretty much watching the same videos, whether it's downtime or lesson time. That's what I feel. And I'm sure you've come across these videos of these biracial voices or biracial this, biracial that. Now, I'm sick of seeing that, okay? And Elder Malcolm has brought out the term when the term white and black was invented, not the words itself, how those words were utilized as bywords. Because in this hell, in this kingdom, pursuant to Psalms 83, our nationality was taken away by the other nations. All right, they were all confederate. They were all cohesive and together in terms of destroying us as a nation because they know we have rulership next. Okay, so that's Psalms 83 on down. All right, that's mentioned in there. And then, they try to cut us off from being a nation and we'll be known as proverbs and bywords, paraphrasing another scripture on this side, the term white, black, negro, colored, ninja, Niger, bywords, proverbs, known as a color. Black, which means dirty, dingy, unclean, evil, void of light. Okay? And you see the Jake over here, this brother over here, he's got a brown skin tone. A nice thick hair of straight hair. He could be a Gadite or a Reubenite, the brother could be. Don't know. But definitely a Jake, I can tell through the spirit. Okay, and that's his son. He's got his beautiful baby boy there with him. Those of you that are fathers understand. You got that sort of. When you become a dad, you become a little softer. All right. Those of you Jakes out there that have sons, okay. Now there's no such thing as mixed. All right, people get confused. What are you, white, black? So if you've got a so-called white mother or Edomite mother, or a woman that looks like to be Edomite, and your father's a so-called black man, right? They're gonna people start saying, "Are you confused?" This, that, and the third, because they keep going on by that white black thing. They keep going to that word. They just don't understand that. You keep saying black, but is your face black, or is it different shades of brown, or is your hair black? There's a meaning behind that. And they even showed you in Malcolm X what these terms mean. Black, white. They even showed you in that, even though Malcolm X was off and the movie was off on that Muslim nonsense, but still just the dictionary part. Okay? These terms weren't used before. All right? You are whatever your father is. Now, if your father's an Israelite, a so-called authentic, so-called black man, Negro, right? Not African Hamite, and your father's a so-called native or a native Indian, authentic, or a Latino native, or a Latino native. He may speak Spanish, right? But he's of native descent. All right. You are whatever your father is, even if your mother's a Chinese woman, a so-called white woman, an East Indian woman, a Polynesian woman. All right. You are whatever your father is. Okay. Yes, people are going to get confused. Okay. This is the sifting or the parable between the wheat and the tares. Okay. The wheat and the tares, because wheat and tares look alike. All right. And the Lord is going to, get rid of the tares and bring in the wheat into the barn. Paraphrasing a scripture there. Okay, so this is wheat. I'm just an example. I don't know whether they're part of the elect or not. I don't know, but this is wheat because they're Israelites. Let's just say that right now. But the elect are the real wheat because two parts of our people are going to be deleted on this side. Zechariah 13 and 8, 13 and 9. 1/3 will make it through. The other two parts will be deleted. All right, but what I'm trying to say is you are whatever your father is. There's also cases where this so-called white man, Esau, Edom, right, the so-called white man, has children with women of all nations also. Okay, so you've got so-called brown Edomites. Okay, that people who look like him that are actually Esau, Edom, because they've got an Amalekite or an Edomite father, right? That's another that parable between wheat and tares applies to them as well, because they look like wheat, but they're actually tares. Okay, so it goes both ends, and it's not you're not white or black. You're either an Israelite Okay, and you could be any shade. All right, it's not a black or a white thing. You could be any shade. All right, but predominantly the Israelites are so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And then you've got the scattering to the four corners of the earth, Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. And then we are the largest nation on the planet Earth, Hosea 1 and 10. Okay, and you are whatever your father is. All right, I'm just going to play the video. This is this lady's page. I'm assuming this is the wife of the man here. I don't know. I haven't really looked into the channel too much, but I'm just using this. I'm not making no money out of this. I'm just pointing out a biblical fact. All right, Numbers 100. Is it 118? I'll get the scripture up in a second. Let me just play this. It's 11 seconds. This shows the different stages of the baby and his father and his father. Looks just like his dad, doesn't he? Identical. You know. All right, I better jump to the next page before the next video starts. Yes. Numbers 118, I think the scripture is. 1 second. Numbers 118. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. Okay? So you are whatever your father is. All right? The seed line that you come from. It doesn't matter what the woman is. You might come out looking like your mother, or a combination 50-50, or you might come out 70-30 on the mother's side, or 70-30 on the father's side. Don't matter how you look. All right? You are whatever your daddy is. The nutsack you come out of, you might come out looking different. You might take all the looks of your mother. You might have blonde hair, blue eyes, or your white mother could be Chinese or East Indian or whatever. You might look exactly like her, but you are whatever your father is. And that greatness is shown. Romans 8:16, the spirit beareth witness, is shown when you see these videos online, because we're connected internationally with the internet, okay, which is an Israelite invention as well, right? The internet shows you all these individuals from around the world, pop locking, break dancing, singing like Luther Vandross, and you look at them, damn, I said, this sounds like a so-called black man, but you look at them, they look Chinese, or they look Japanese, or they look so-called white, or it could be East Indian that's rapping from India and he's spitting like Twister, right? All fast and shit, but you don't understand language. But sometimes, if you're grown, if you're from that part of the world, you understand the language. Saying, and when you hear it, you think, damn, he's spitting some bars. You see this greatness. You see the greatness of Jake scattered to the four corners of the earth. People might assume, even Chinese people got soul, even Japanese people got soul, certain white people got soul, or that Indian guy's got soul, or that Polynesian guy, man, he can spit, man. Look at him do the merengue, or look at him do the cha-cha. Look at this guy. Look at him do martial arts. This guy, he's amazing. Even other people got soul and style like black people, so-called black people. No, they're actually Israelites. That's why they're like that. You think Bruce Lee's a Moabite, a heathen, moving like that? And it makes sense. That spirit beareth witness. The things that he does is only is Superman like ish. You understand? That greatness is shown. Romans 8:16. Okay. Let's go there again. Read Numbers 118. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. All right. What you got to understand is people assume that, okay, if you're an Israelite and you look like a so-called white person in the kingdom, you're gonna look like a so-called white person. No. Why would the Lord give you leprosy and yellow hair in the kingdom? In the kingdom, there's not going to be no confusion. You're going to have your royal Israelite look back. All right. Whoever's dies on this side, when they're born in the kingdom, they're going to have their royal Israelite look back. Okay. Spirits never go away. Spirits always return. They get recycled. The spirits always come back in a new recycled body. Okay. You always come back again in your family line. So in the kingdom, there's going to be no confusion. Yes, there's going to be different shades of brown. There's going to be more than likely different eye colors. I'm assuming, yeah, different hair textures. We're going to be very diverse looking, but no Israelite's going to look like a honky or an Edomite. All right, no Israelite's going to look like a Moabite or Ammonite or Elamite. You're going to have your royal Israelite look. You're going to look exotic. You're going to look comely. You're going to look beautiful, but you're not going to look the same. You're going to look like a garden where diverse roses and flowers. That's how the Israelites are going to look, very, very diverse. Okay, because on this side we're very diverse, and in the kingdom we're going to look lawfully diverse. All right, lawfully meaning the Lord ain't going to give you leprosy, man, or the curse of yellow hair, which is in Leviticus chapter 13. All right. Oh yeah. There's a scripture coming to mind. I don't want to lose my train of thought. What's it called again? Oh yeah, that's it. Let me get a speckled bird scripture up. Speckled bird. 7:24 a.m. I'm trying to do this video as quickly as possible, Lord willing. Jeremiah 12:9. Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her. Come ye assemble, all the beasts of the field, come to devour. Okay, the Lord's even saying, man, his heritage is like a speckled bird. Okay, meaning like a speckled bird has many different spots in it. It could be like a light brown spot, a yellowy spot, a tan spot, a pale spot. That's how Jake is. Jake is like that. Okay, and me personally, I like having our women looking all different. I like Israelite women looking all different. I like that. I like Israelite women with straight hair. I like Israelite women with afros. I like Israelite women with curly hair. I like Israelite women, even on this side, even with blonde hair. Because some of these girls are gorgeous. I'm not gonna hate on an Israelite woman because she's got blonde hair and blue eyes and she's fine. You know, I like that. I like the diversity. But in the kingdom, it's gonna be lawfully diverse. Meaning that there ain't gonna be no yellow hair. There ain't gonna be, that pale pink flesh. You might be light skinned like Charlie Baltimore, but you'll still have melanin. You know what I mean? And plus, Elder Apostle Tar said through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yashai, if you have children with a so-called Edomite woman, like one of your concubines in the kingdom, children come out too pale, you'll have spiritual power, so you can darken them up if you want, And, okay, so Jeremiah 12:9 again. Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her. Come ye assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour. So the Lord's heritage is like a speckled bird, and you are whatever your daddy is, whatever your father is. There's no such thing as biracial, mixed, confusion. Okay, Esau, Edom, the so-called YT man. Listen, we're in Babylon. Babylon means confusion. Babal means confusion. Like that's why people say to you, "What are you babbling about?" Which means, "What the hell are you talking about?" All right. So biracial, that bullshit is a lot of nonsense. Okay, you are whatever your father is. All right. This white-black nonsense or black-white nonsense. Okay. You're either different shades of brown or you're different shades of red. All right, like a pink or whatever. All right. So don't get twisted on that, man. Don't get twisted on that. Let's go to Revelation 7 verse 9. This is an example. All right. All right. The great multitude gathering in Revelation 7. All right. And because remember, Jacob is the Lord's elect. Okay, the Israelites. That is not going to change. You can't cancel one scripture with another one. Everything is in spiritual. Can I use the term unison? Or everything is in spiritual compliance. I'll say that spiritual compliance, meaning everything is rolls like poetry. So, you know what I mean? You can't cancel one thing with another with the scriptures. Okay. So Revelation 7 verse 9, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Okay, so if you go to Isaiah 11:11, it lets you know where Jake is scattered to the four corners of the earth. And we're heavy duty in ground zero America, Babylon, the 12 tribes. That's why the 12 tribes sign is focusing on ground zero Babylon, but it doesn't diminish the Israelites that are scattered to the four corners of the earth, pursuant to Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. And the second Exodus is going to hit every part of the world, man. Polynesian islands, the islands of the sea, the land of Elam, other islands, all right? That's why you're going to have people speaking, people from different nations, kindreds, different kinds of people and tongues. Why? Because there are Israelites scattered to the four corners of the earth. You got Italian Israelites, you got Irish Israelites that look like honkies, right? But they're Jake. You got Chinese Israelites that look, and the Lord did say He's going to make, the Israelites or even the tribe of Judah or Israelites, a covert in the land of Moab, because the Lord has hidden a lot of Israelites amongst other nations. Okay, because this Esau Edom knew that every Israelite looked like a so-called black man with a fro. What's he gonna do? He's already poisoning Jake as it is and poisoning the world. When I say Jake, I'm talking about Jacob, okay? Blacks, Hispanics, and natives, and those of that paternal lineage, okay? Hence the reason why the woman takes on the what? The man's surname. So if you're a Smith, you're a woman having the son of Charles Smith, who's a so-called black man, and your son comes out looking white, so-called white, like an Edomite, that boy is still Charles Smith, his son, the fruit of his loins, okay? All right? This is just letting you know the scripture of Revelation 7 and 9 that it's going to be Jake's scattered to the four corners of the earth, all right, being rounded up for this, the second Exodus, all right, being beamed up into the chariots, all right, because Jacob is scattered to the four corners of the earth, all right. Let's go to Isaiah 11:11, all right, and I'll read that one, and I think that'll be it. Just trying to make a point. What is biracial nonsense? Such a stupid, people are confused, man. All right. There is no confusion. There is no, confusion. You lot confuse yourselves, man. All right. Isaiah 11:11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshai shall set his hand again the second time. Okay. We've already had the first Exodus from African Hamite Egypt. Now this is the second Exodus. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshai shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. Okay, so we got Jakes in Pathros, Egypt, Hamite Egypt, Elam, India, Assyria. Okay, all different places everywhere. Okay. America, Latin America, everywhere. And those elect Israelites, and we're like the sands of the sea, Hosea 1 and 10, all right? And they're going to be what? Beamed up into the chariots, all right? So, you are wherever your father is, all right? You're not, color does not denote, or no, color doesn't basically mention your ethnicity. Color doesn't show ethnicity, right? If your father's a so-called black man, right, or a Hispanic or Native Indian, and you come out looking like your mother, does that, ethnicity isn't a color, all right? You're not biracial, you're not half this or half that. You are wherever your father is. If your father's a Judite, you are a Judite. If your father's a Benjaminite, you are a Benjaminite. If your father's a Levite, you're a Levite. If your father's a Issacharite, you're an Issacharite. If your father's an Ephraimite, you're an Ephraimite. Okay? Color does not denote ethnicity. That's a made up term or made up ways in this world, okay? Why? Because Psalms 83 lets you know they try to cut us off from being a nation, so we're not known as Israelites no more, so they'll call you different bywords and proverbs, okay? And biracial is just another byword, man, all right? Okay, so you are whatever your daddy is, all right? So that little young lad we saw with his father, okay, they're both the same ethnicity, all right? Okay? The soul and spirit is what counts of who you are. Your flesh is just a package that can be changed. Okay? All right? All right, I'm going to leave it there now. Let me see if I can find the video again, actually. Let me just play it one more time, man. Let's play it again. Father and son, father and son, father and son. And you got rappers like Eminem. You think someone's gonna Honky's gonna spit like that? Even though I don't like Eminem personally, I don't like how he raps. But the band can spit. He sounds like Pee Wee Herman to me, but he's more than like he's an Irish Jake. You know, even though he looks horrible, with that pale flesh and yellow hair and all that. You know, but he's a Jake. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. You know, and you know you that greatness shows with the spirit. You know what I mean? And as you can see, Jake is getting older. He's looking more and more like his father. See what I mean? Okay, his father and son. That boy's an Israelite. A beautiful baby. All right, there you go. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yashai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, Mawatha Bar Babal, Kwam Yasharala. So you are wherever your father is. Those of you Israelites that are getting slightly confused, you know, that you're not part of this thing. Remember one thing: if your father's an Israelite, you are an Israelite. You gravitate towards this truth. You feel connected to Yahweh Bashem. You feel Yahweh Bashem Ashai calling you. You feel really like a magnet. You feel like a magnet being pulled towards the truth. You're more than likely a Jake, man. All right. So don't let how you look be a stumbling block for you. All right, or a trap or a snare. Okay, like Esau Edom has set up. Okay, you're a Jake if you are, no matter what you look like. Okay, Romans 8:16, the spirit beareth witness. All right, but nevertheless, you are whatever your daddy is, no matter how you look. There's no such thing as biracial. All right. Anyway, shalom.